Today we're going to read a book. What do you guys think this book might be about? Exactly right. Pumpkins. You see pumpkins on this book. What are pumpkins? When do we see pumpkins? What types of things can we do with pumpkins? Okay, in order to read this book, we have some things that are going to help us be able to pronounce and recognize the words. What are some things that we have learned to help us do this? Sight words, right? Phonics, and how to sound things out. Today we will be learning about the ways that help us become better readers. We will practice recognizing words that we see a lot and sounding out new words. We will also observe punctuation marks while we read. Can someone read the title of the book for me? What do you think a parable might be? A parable is a word for a short story that's usually said to teach a lesson. We see parables in the Bible, don't we? This is another parable, and we're going to run into some words that might be unfamiliar to us. So I'm going to go over the pronunciation real quickly before we start. Okay, so we remember a parable is a story. And remember what we said about the pumpkins and what they are. Now, this word is a little bit difficult to sound out. The G is going to be hard G, like in gum. So it's glor, and then E, and then this one sounds like us, just like it would be without the O. So it's glorious. So I want you to keep a few things in mind when we're reading. I want you to remember those definitions, and I want you to remember what we talked about with pumpkins. And I would like you guys to read along with me. We're going to make a chart of all the words we find when we skim read the book, so I would like you to look for words that you don't recognize and raise your hand when you find one. I'll call on you and we'll write down the list and discuss the new words. What are some ways we can figure out the meanings of words? We can look for words in a sentence and read the sentence to see what it might mean. And check for pictures that might help explain the word, like pumpkin in this picture. We see that it's a vegetable and it's round and orange and it's got a green stem. And if we were still confused, we can check the dictionary, which will define the word for us in other words so that we might be able to explain it to somebody. And if we're still stuck, we can ask somebody for help. So I'm going to start and let's read along with me, okay? The Pumpkin Patch Parable by Liz Curtis Higgs. See that big red barn and those rolling green fields? That's where the farmer lives, way out in the country. It's so far out, the streets don't even have stop signs. The farmer grows lots of different things in those fields. He grows tall green corn and big red tomatoes, long yellow squash, little green peas. People eat that stuff for dinner. Now that we've read the book, what are some things that we learned? Right, we learned that pumpkin seeds are the size of raisins. So everybody raise up their hand and show how big those are. What is the difference? Who can answer this? What is the difference between a pumpkin and a jack-o'-lantern? Does anybody remember what a parable is? How's it different from a story, do you think? What are some of the other new words we learned from this book? We learned glorious. What other words did we learn? We learned signs. We learned vegetables, which we eat for dinner. And we learned the word shoot, like a shoot from a vine, shoots up through the ground. It's called a shoot or a sprout. So I'm going to erase the definitions, and then we're going to see if we can match the words. Okay, everybody, now I want you to turn to the person on your left and then the person on your right and tell them one new word that you learned. And the definition of the word, so what the word means. And what helps you remember it. For example, jack-o'-lantern might help you remember, or carving a jack-o'-lantern might help you remember what a jack-o'-lantern is.